Итак, представляем соперников 13-го поединка нашего боксерского вечера. И слева от меня, в синем углу ринга, спортсмен. Его боевой вес 61 килограмм, ровно 165 сантиметров, его рост, ему 29 лет. Его профессиональный рекорд 32 поединка, 19 побед, из них 12 нокаутом, 10 поражений и 3 поединка закончились в ничью. Представляет Южноафриканскую республику Rofhiwa Maemu. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first fighter in the blue corner of the ring. His weight is 61 kilos. He's 165 centimeters tall. He's 29 years old, and his professional record 32 fights, 19 wins, 12 by chaos, and just 10 losses and 3 draws. Ladies and gentlemen, from South Africa, Mr. Rofhiwa Maemu. И также его соперник, стоящий справа от меня в красном углу ринга. Спортсмен. Его боевой вес также 61 килограмм, ровно 173 сантиметра. Его рост, ему 23 года. Его профессиональный рекорд 10 поединков, 10 побед, ни одного поражения. 9 из них закончились нокаутом. Уважаемые гости из России, Александр Devyatov. Ladies and gentlemen, and also his contender in the red corner of the ring. His weight is 61 kilos, and also he's 173 centimeters tall, 23 years old. His professional record, 10 fights, 10 victories, no losses, and 9 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, represents the Russian Federation, Mr. Alexander Devyatov. Андрей Курнявка. Ladies and gentlemen, referee in charge, Mr. Андрей Курнявка.
Все, идем.
Шеф, желаю удачи, good luck.
Rofhiwa Maemu says that his work ethic breaks fighters when he can get the best of them. He runs 24 kilometers to the boxing gym before he starts training. So his motor is better than most of his opponents. But will that matter against the destructive power of Alexander Devyatov? Can he take him into deep waters here in this 8th rounder? Round 1, Devyatov in the black and neon trunks. The war child, Rofhiwa Maemu, is back to the ropes right now in the silver. Maemu has become a bit of a fixture here in Russia as an opponent. He tries to counter off the ropes there with a right hand. Maemu really, although he's fought up here at 135, really a natural featherweight. And you can see the size differential here against Alexander Devyatov, and that's why pace and endurance will be so important for Maemu if he is to have success. Has been in there with some recognizable names, perhaps most notably Shavkat Rakhimov. We fought back in 2019. Rakhimov stopped him in 4 rounds. You likely remember Rakhimov from his bout on DAZN not that long ago against Jojo Diaz. So he's been in there with some world-level opposition, has come up short. Is now settling into, I wouldn't say a more comfortable role, but perhaps a more appropriate one for him, testing younger prospects like Devyatov. Rakhimov stopped Maemu to the body, and you can see early Devyatov really honing in on the body work. Size differential with the slighter frame that Maemu sports could be vulnerable to some of those shots. There you see another right hand right along the belt line from Devyatov. Right hand downstairs from Devyatov, but Maemu catches that left hook on the elbow. That'll do it for round one.
Да, я за 50 раз нахуй это говорил. Я дистанцию забрал. Держал за дистанцию.
Take a look back at the fast start from Alexander Devyatov, the knockout artist from Saratov, Russia.
Легче, быстрее. Давай. Легче, быстрее. Не вкладывайся в первый удар.
Round two underway. You saw Maemu with a different corner than we've seen him with in the past. For most of his career, he's trained under Alan Tawil Jr., one of the top trainers in South Africa. And Alan's father, Alan Sr., at different points trained some of the greats in South African history, like Jerry Coetzee, Pierre Coetzer. And Tawil always said, I don't care how many fights Maemu loses, as long as he's learning. And we referenced Maemu's tragic backstory during his entrance. Tawil has really helped give Maemu a second lease on life, and now Maemu still very active as a professional, has his own training business on the side. Devyatov, meanwhile, has been plenty busy in 2021. Here he is fighting for the third time this year, although in those bouts, collectively, he's only fought 3 rounds. No fighter other than Ilya Sherbakov has made it out of the 5th round against Devyatov. That's the only time he's gone the distance. And boy, that shot, well, Devyatov thought it was to the body. Maemu thinks it's low. Devyatov shook his head and his hand as if, no, he's embellishing, but we'll have to take a look at that on the replay. Looks like we'll do that right now. That right hand did appear to stray low, so Maemu was not in the wrong there. But again, indicative of the strategy of Devyatov, who must feel like those routes to the body are also the route to an early stoppage for him tonight. Devyatov, really a pure inside fighter. He's not interested in fighting from long range. He's interested in finding ways to get in there. But he catches a solid right hand from Maemu a moment ago. Maemu firing back with a couple good shots as these two trade in the final seconds of the 2nd round. Devyatov trying to roll with one of those shots and come back with the right hand. Maemu gave him something to think about there in the final 30 seconds.
Поднял прям между перчаток. Ты левый печень завис. Понял меня? Ты понял меня, что ты делаешь?
Round 3 begins. The action really picked up towards the end of round 2, and Maemu having a little bit of success, but Devyatov certainly getting to the spaces where he wants to be on the inside as he continues to try to batter the body of the War Child. Maemu seems very cognizant that Devyatov is focusing on the body. He's trying to kind of make himself small, wedge his body on the inside, keep his arms tight. So I'm catching some of those shots just a second to go there. That's what we're talking about. Devyatov as a fighter is throwing with a lot of power, and even those shots on the arms, well, they can eventually make those arms drop. Good right hand downstairs and a left hook. Connects clean to the body from Devyatov. More body work from Devyatov. Both fighters be warned for a little rough stuff on the inside. And watching sparring footage of Devyatov, he spars the way he fights. I don't know too many boxing trainers who would recommend sparring at the intensity that Devyatov does, but he brings it in the gym just like he is here tonight. Counter right hand to the body from Devyatov. Maemu looks for a left hook up top. A little swelling underneath the left eye of Devyatov. Certainly not a defensive master. He's there to be hit. He does get hit. But to this point, he hasn't really encountered anyone, apart from one fighter who could take him to distance, that could withstand his onslaught. He's throwing with volume and purpose as Maemu tries to switch up the rhythm here. Round 3 comes to a close. Good solid work to the body there from Devyatov, finishing that combination with a left hook. There was a good one. I think that left hook might have hurt Maemu. The moment that landed, he fell in, looking to hold on.
Первая атака легкая, создай ее. Вызывай, провоцируй. Не надо в первую атаку влетать, блядь. Не надо первую атаку влетать акцентом. Полглотка воды можно? Дай воду. Первая атака легкая, блядь.
Я поздно, чуть-чуть пораньше, уходи с ним. Бокс!
Round 4 begins. You saw in the shot a moment ago, a little abrasion over the right eye of Devyatov, and a little swelling developing under the left eye of Devyatov. So, although he may be winning this fight, Maemu definitely getting his licks in as well. Right hand over the top from Devyatov. Back at some of Devyatov's more recent opposition, you get the sense that his handlers think that they could move him relatively quickly. They're putting him in there with very experienced foes, but there's a left hook, and is Maemu saying that landed to the leg? I think it might have. I mean, that's a hard shot. You can just punch someone in the leg, and yeah, that was low. You cannot punch someone. You know, we think of low blows in a certain way, but not like that when you're just hammering someone on the side of their leg. And Maemu says, all right, I'm good to go. So all varieties of low blows from Devyatov, who continues to try to focus on the body and sometimes is straying low. But Maemu seems emboldened by that last foul. But that's exactly what Devyatov wants. This is the kind of firefight that he's looking for. Left hook a second ago from Devyatov. It's landed right in the middle of the chest of Maemu. Seconds remain in round 4. Another eventful round here in one of our feature contests. Deep breath from Devyatov as we head to the corner.
Судья, остановил бой. Тогда бей его дальше. Судья разговаривал. Ты что, не видишь его правду? Вижу. А хуй ты его не защищаешь тогда? Внимательно.
Round 5 underway. We saw that deep breath from Devyatov at the end of round 4. Maybe that doesn't mean anything, maybe it does, but we know that Maemu can be dangerous as the rounds continue to go on. He was in a very similar situation here in Russia in 2019 when he faced Ruslan Kamilov, who also was undefeated at the time. He was competitive, but then dropped Kamilov in the 8th and final round and almost pulled the upset. Maemu has plenty of experience going late into fights. One of the advantages of fighting in a country like South Africa, that has a very vibrant domestic scene, is that you get experience in 12-round fights at a stage in your career when other fighters might not, because national titles are meaningful there. But the downside of that is that sometimes you come out of that scene with a loss or two before you take the show on the road and start fighting internationally, which was also the case for Maemu. We'll see if he can weather some of this early power from Devyatov and maybe make it interesting in the later rounds. Reference Maemu's, frankly, otherworldly running routine of running 24 kilometers before training. That was something we heard Timothy Bradley do like one time before training, and he was admonished by his father, a trainer at the time. That is some heavy mileage for a boxer. Devyatov just trying to muscle his way to the inside. Place some of those left hooks downstairs. Maemu trying to do less of that. Move a little bit more, pot shot. Keep this fight on the move. Devyatov, a ferocious inside fighter, but does need to get set in order to punch. He doesn't really jab his way in. He's trying to use his size and tempo to get in there. And that's more reminiscent of a round that Maemu would like to have. A couple chopping right hands from Maemu there. Short left hook. Now really getting low, bending over to avoid some of those body shots. It worked well in that sequence.
Понял меня? Рука левая приклеена. Рука левая. Саня, рука левая приклеенная. Выключай правую руку.
Round 6 begins. Maemu very animated in the corner. Fairly animated at different times in this fight, and he's openly said, listen, I fight with anger. I reach back into my childhood, try and thrive off of some of the pain that I experienced. I fight wound up in there. That's how he gets himself motivated to go in there, and especially on a night like tonight when he's facing a much larger opponent. He needs to match him with intensity. He needs to match him with pace. Jab to the body there from Devyatov. Devyatov trying to jab his way in. mostly Devyatov jabs because he thinks he has to. When his opponent is jabbing, he'll jab too. You want to see him work a little more off of that jab. He's trying to slip and jab to get to the outside, the inside, excuse me. Let's see if Devyatov can build off of that. Start running some combinations when he gets there. Left uppercut that connected from Maemu a moment ago. And a right hand over the top. Now Maemu starting to feel it a little bit. Shot to the body from Maemu, a left hook upstairs. Snaps a jab off as well and gets to the outside. This is the best sequence of the fight for Maemu by far. Maemu maybe starting to figure out the pattern of Devyatov as he is keeping him at bay.
Я делаю. Ты ломаешь. Еще раз, ты ломаешь таз. Понимаю, ты не садишься весом тела сюда. Ты ломаешь таз. Когда подныриваешь, да. Да, левый печень. Внимательно правый. Вообще руки прям приклеены, спина все здесь. Ты понял меня? Ты понял меня? Спина здесь, подныриваешь сначала левую печень, без шага. Можно вылетели в лицо, капель? Ага.
So 2 to go here in this 8-rounder between Alexander Devyatov and Rofhiwa Maemu, the war child, who seems to be streaking a little bit here. And this could get interesting. If he can win round 7 and 8, I felt that he won round 6. And if you could find an earlier round, I don't know if that's possible. But things could get interesting on the scorecards if Maemu can replicate what he was able to do in round 6. And that was exactly what he's doing here in round 7. Just keeping his distance and not letting Devyatov get anywhere near the inside. Devyatov mostly just throwing the jab out there or trying to throw one jab and get to the inside. But he hasn't been able to really work off of that jab on the inside. There you see it, he falls short with the right hand. There's a right hand to the body. But Maemu just keeping Devyatov turning, not allowing him to get set. I think Maemu has also got his respect from Devyatov. He's landed a couple good chopping right hands. Landed a good uppercut in round 6 as well. I think that's been enough to make Devyatov think for just a split second before he starts really opening up on the inside. And that's changed the tenor of this fight. In the early stages of this fight, Devyatov was really just walking in uninhibited. He was unafraid to just let his hands go, wasn't bothered by what was coming back. Now, after a couple of good hard shots and a little more movement from Maemu, things are starting to change. Did Devyatov put enough in the bank earlier on for these rounds, if Maemu is winning them, to be inconsequential? And there's another shot that is not deemed to be legal by the referee. That one behind the back. seconds tick away here in round 7. Another interesting one. The War Child, Rofhiwa Maemu, making this one interesting for the hot prospect Alexander Devyatov.
Еще раз говорю, пока рефери не скажет, стоп, бей его, что бы он его не нажал. Сейчас вот такой же раунд мне нужен, последний раунд сейчас. Раздергиваешь, только потом бьешь. И не охоться за одним животом. За одним животом не охоться. Живот, один живот, потом голова. Только не разменивай.
Look back at some of the action from round 7. You see Devyatov was able to sneak in a right hand to the body. The replays from round 7 reflected more positively on Devyatov than maybe the totality of the round did. No doubt he did sneak in some good shots, but I think Maemu was dictating the terms on which the fight was fought, even if Devyatov might have edged that round. But Maemu has definitely made this one interesting. As the 8th and final round begins, I think a lot of people would have looked at this one on the bout sheet and seen Maemu, who has spent a lot of time at featherweight, has been stopped 3 times. Devyatov with the gaudy-looking knockout numbers, kind of penciled this one in as a stoppage. But Maemu has turned in a fairly good performance compared to what was expected of him. The handlers of Devyatov, I think, have done a good job of giving him different looks, different experiences early in his career. And oh, that shot on the arm of Maemu seems to have frozen his shoulder here as he's complaining about that shot. I think this one will be over. No, that'll be it. That will be it. Now, I couldn't tell what was said there between Maemu and Devyatov, but he has not really moved his arm since that shot. We'll have to see on the replay just what exactly happened. You know, we saw something similar to that in the recent Andy Ruiz-Chris Arreola fight, where a shot just underneath the arm did some damage. What happened there? Let's see, maybe this will be the shot coming up. Even after observing that replay, I can't quite tell. I think it's clear that it's an arm injury of some sort to Maemu. But was it caused by a punch? Was it caused by a headbutt? We do not know. We'll make this one official.
8-го раунда техническим нокаутом досрочную победу одержал боец из красного угла Россия Александр Devyatov. Ladies and gentlemen, a winner by TKO, Mr. Alexander Devyatov, the Russian Federation.
So under very sudden and unusual circumstances, Alexander Devyatov picks up his 10th knockout and his 11th win. But he was definitely getting some good competitive rounds from Rofhiwa Maemu down the stretch. Let's take another look at this sequence. could figure out what exactly happened there. Devyatov, it looked like he landed a body shot, but also fell in.
Итак,